Good.
Well, after a little bit of a slow start to the week after having 2 days off, the players have really responded well the last couple of practices. We've had, really good practice, really good energy, really good enthusiasm. I think we made some improvement in terms of our execution because of that. We're still focusing a lot on attention to detail and guys doing the little things right in terms of, too many penalties, especially the undisciplined type. False starts on offense, offsides on defense, the kind that are sort of unforced errors, if we were playing tennis. So those are the kinds of things that we really got to focus on and clean up and get a little better execution on both sides of the ball. It's time now that a little bit judgment day in terms of who we're going to coach and what we're going to do, and we need to make some of those decisions because we actually start, preparation for USC tomorrow. So, we're going to have to pick, the guys that we're going to try to get ready to play the game, and how we rep them and how we try to get guys to have roles, whether it's on special teams, offense, defense. And I know the only one that your guys care to talk about is probably quarterback, but, it is what it is. We've really shared the reps with the guys. We try to give guys a little bit more rhythm in terms of the number of reps they got and see how they respond to it. And, as of right now, there's no decision that's been made on anyone in particular. And, we're going to continue to do that until somebody sort of takes the bull by the horns and does what we think he needs to do to have a chance to play winning football for us on offense. And I'm not disappointed at all in the progress that any of the guys have made, but at the same time, nobody's really, I think, sort of forged ahead, either. We don't have a lot of injuries to speak of. Shank is the only guy that hasn't practiced. He's kind of day-to-day. I missed the last 2 days with not anything that's serious, so we hope to get him back soon. And his status for the game has still not been determined from my standpoint anyway. But everybody else was out there practicing, and Dalvin Tomlinson's been back all week and practiced really well. So we got a lot of young players that have a chance to contribute to this team this year. So we really worked hard to try to focus on some of those guys in terms of helping their development so that they can go out there and play with a little confidence and know what they're doing. And that's going to be certainly a point of emphasis from here on out in terms of the preparation for the game.
Okay, we'll start here in the middle with Michael.
You touched on it. I was wondering your process for deciding who plays between the second scrimmage and the first week. What's that process like for you? What's the discussion like? And is it hard for someone to not make that list and to climb back into it after the season starts?
Well, I think, no, it's not hard at all. We watch the films on both sides each day. Some of the players have to go work. Offensive players have to go work against the defense. Defensive players have to go work against the offense. And those guys are still in the meetings. We're still trying to coach them. We're still trying to teach them. We just can't rep everybody every day. You got to kind of take two teams and the guys that have a role and, rep those particular guys. But you're also trying to bring along the other guys. And, when we do that, when we practice good against good, we try to get some of those guys in there and continue to develop them because, if you lose players throughout the season, some of those guys are going to move up. So you'd like for them to be more ready to do that, have a better understanding of what they need to do, and that they've made some fundamental improvement by, practicing against the other team. But, when it comes to reps for a game plan, you can only do so many guys.
Go over here on the right there.
Is Raekwon Davis eligible to play versus Southern Cal? And have you ever had a 6'7" defensive lineman before?
Yeah, we have. Through the years, we've got a couple guys like that. But there hasn't. We don't have a final decision on that. I'll let you know when we get one, but we haven't got the final decision on that yet.
We're going to go back over to the other side to Ken.
Just wanted to ask you about Deron Payne, what kind of camp he's had, and just his development over the last year, I guess.
Right. Deron played very well for us last year. He didn't play a lot in nickel, but really did a good job in regular, and you know, his role was expanded. He's had a really good camp. You know, we tried to improve him a little bit as a pass rusher so he could be a good inside player for us, and I think he's done that. So gives us another inside guy that we can play in sub, which, you know, I think is critical based on the guys that we lost. So, you know, Jonathan Allen can play in or out. Dalvin can play in or out. Deron can play inside. You know, we got a couple other guys that can be inside pass rushers on third down, and you know, of course, you know, we got the outside backers that play a little bit more when it's third down. And you know, Ryan and Tim have done a good job in pass rush. Rashawn Evans has done a good job in pass rush. So, and we're still trying to develop some other guys that would have roles that way. So, you know, Deron has done a nice job. He's had a really good camp.
In the middle with Alex.
I want to ask you about the quarterbacks. Obviously, with all three competing right now, is there been any discussion about possibly playing two in the opener early on and allowing them to kind of work through some of their issues, or what?
Well, no, we haven't had any discussion about that yet.
Okay, we'll go back over here with Kirk. Front row, Kirk McNair.
You didn't want to finish his.
Pretty simple question, pretty simple answer. Like I'd tell you if we were going to.
Coach, I wonder if there, maybe in practice, years and years ago, there was more fighting within the team, and if that's important now to not have fights, and how you handle that. And also, just out of curiosity, because I know defensive backs are often the instigators, if you ever were in one as a player.
Well, you know, basically I tell them that I'm getting too old to come pull somebody off of you, so stay out of a fight. But I mean, that's just kind of a kidding way of, look, I think it's really, really important that players respect other players on the team, have a respect for what that player is trying to do to be successful. We have a rule on our team where you don't talk to the other team, you don't talk to the other players. And a part of that is, you know, when people talk, sometimes they lose focus on what they're supposed to be doing. The other part of that is, you know, when people talk and they sometimes make other people emotional. And when you get emotional, I think you make emotional decisions, which, you know, can lead to loss of control, which means, you know, all of a sudden I take a shot at somebody or I take a punch at somebody, and the last I checked, those things are all penalties. Some could lead to ejection. So, you know, what you're trying to practice is trying to practice the right habits so you can go in the game and do it in the game. And I know you guys probably think practice is, well, I'm just going to practice until I can get it right. I think practice is you practice it until so much you can't get it wrong. All right, so to me, there's never a time for guys to lose their cool. I think those are selfish decisions that are emotional decisions that don't really help your team. And if you get in the habit of doing that, then you're more apt to doing it in the game because a guy gets under your skin, and the next thing you know, you throw a punch. We actually lost when I was a player. We won one year, I guess, but the next year, the first year I was a coach, we had a chance to win a championship again in the MAC when Coach James was there when I was a GA, and we stopped them on third down and, I don't know, 6 or something, and one of our players threw a punch at somebody, and they got a personal foul penalty, and they got a first down, and then they went down to score, and we lost the game 14-10. So I always think that, and I've been around people that handle this a lot of different ways. You know, way back when I was at Michigan State and I was a defensive coordinator, you know, George Perlis, when we went there, we couldn't run, we couldn't have a play without a fight. I mean, it was a fight every play, so we couldn't even have practice. So he was looking for a solution, so he got Everlast championship boxing gloves and put them on the table. on the 50-yard line. All right, so if you got in a fight, you stopped practice, took your helmet off, put the gloves on, everybody got to watch the fight. And it was so embarrassing. It was so embarrassing for the guys that had to fight. They didn't even want to fight. They wouldn't even fight when everybody rounded up to see them fight. So that sort of ended the fighting. So different people handle it different ways. That wouldn't be my way of doing it. We haven't had a big issue with that. You know, our guys do a pretty good job of that. But I don't think it's a habit that you want to create in practice.
Back middle with Chris.
The way that Lane's been able to kind of have sort of a different offense with Blake and then Jake last year, is that something that's really rare for an offensive coordinator to be that flexible?
Well, I think our system on offense is pretty flexible, and I think, you know, if you look at it, we had a little different offense when AJ was here too. So, you know, it's part of our philosophy to adapt, all of our philosophy, I think, to adapt to what the players that we have can do. And I think that starts with the quarterback. And I think to have a lot of diversity in the offense, and our offense has been pretty much pro style, but when we've had an athletic quarterback, you know, we've you know, sort of integrated a little bit of a spread type stuff, which I think has been helpful, which is, you know, part of the RPOs, which, you know, the run pass option plays that people run now that everybody complains that guys are down the field and all that because they're running plays that make it very difficult for the defense to play the passes. But I think the rules of college football allow that, so to integrate some of those things in the offense, I think gives us a lot more diversity, and you know, we can sort of play to the style that we need to play to. And you know, we did that last year. You know, we had really good runner, and quarterback had a really good arm and could make, you know, big plays down the field. So we were a really good play action team, and you know, we controlled the football in the game that way and worked out well for us. I don't know that we're going to be that kind of team this year. I think we'll have to kind of see where this takes us with the quarterback before we can fully decide, you know, that.
Last one here with Rainer.
Given your background as secondary coaches and also your NFL background and your use of pro-style offense, how much do you think your philosophy mirrors, you know, Pete Carroll's?
Well, I really can't compare, you know, my philosophy to Pete Carroll's. I can only tell you that when people are as successful as Pete Carroll has been, which I have a tremendous amount of respect for, and I've known Pete from way back when I was 7 years old, something like that, and we were just young secondary coaches. I took his place at Ohio State when he left to be a defensive coordinator at North Carolina State for Monty Kiffin. So we've exchanged ideas through the years, but I've always read a lot about what Pete does, how he does it, what his philosophy is. And, you know, we're probably different in some ways, but I think at the end of the day, he demands that his players compete at a very high level, and he has a high standard for what his expectation is for them, as we do here. So I can't really compare philosophies because I can't speak about his philosophy. You know, I mean, that's not, I'm not an expert on that. But from what I do know, I think there's one thing we have in common, that's to get the players to play at a high standard on a consistent basis.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you.